Let me tell you of the days of high adventure.
Hey everybody, I'm Kevin.
And I am John.
And this is 6 Degrees of Schwarzenegger, the podcast where we take a long, hard look back at some of our favorite action movies from the era of Arnold.
Schwarzenegger is the icon of the genre, and we're taking a deep dive into some of these 80s and 90s cult action movies, and we're breaking them all the way down.
Hey, John.
Hi, buddy.
I am delighted to also say we've got Kyle still with us.
Kyle,
Hey.
you stayed. Thank God.
I have the power, but I don't know if He-Man does at this point.
He doesn't.
We've seen no evidence of that thus far.
Nope.
Before we get into all of that, want to just shout out again Kyle's website that he runs with a few other folks, screenrex.com. Go check it out. It's
excellent stuff.
SCREENREX.com. You want to tell us again, like, what kind of cool stuff's going on over there?
Just tons of movie reviews and TV reviews. We see stuff well before a lot of other people. I'm fortunate enough to say. So we can tell you if anything's good before it comes out.
Save you that money.
Yeah.
That's right.
Don't especially in these unprecedented times. If you want to venture out, you're taking your life in your hands.
That's
basically
right.
venturing out to the theater.
Don't get that Delta variant, kids.
Yeah. So also shout out to our friends at the Last of the Action Heroes podcast network.
Yes.
We're happy to be a part of it. So if you're listening to us there, thank you very much. And please go check out our back catalog over at our own 6 Degrees of Schwarzenegger feed. We're going to try to get that stuff uploaded as we can on the podcast network. But in the meantime, if you want to hear us talk about Conan the Barbarian or
Kickboxer or
Running Man, all sorts of Point Break. Like
a lot of movies better than this movie.
But this movie is fun, though. It's beloved.
As we say in our intro, we're coming at it from a place of love.
And I didn't even have the same nostalgia value of you guys from like growing up on it. But it is just, some movies are so bad that they're not even fun to watch. And this one is just so fun to watch.
Yeah, it is.
I will watch it again, like not tonight. Maybe not this year.
As far as you know.
Maybe not this year, but I will, in my life, I will revisit this movie because it's fun.
It's got okay bones. I mean, it's a fun little adventure, and it's especially fun if you've got like a little kid to watch it with you, like my uncle did.
The bones are named Frank Langella, and he plays Skeletor.
Awesome.
So we're talking about 1987, Masters of the Universe, if you haven't picked up on that, which you did because you saw the name of the podcast before you clicked on it. And just to give you some backstory on what happened in part 4 of this exciting series, essentially the good guys were pinned down. Julie was a dunce and gave the prototype for the cosmic key to the bad guys. The bad guys destroyed it. He-Man got taken captive and taken back to Eternia, and the good guys, with Julie wounded, were left to pick up the pieces and figure out how they were going to get back to Eternia. And kids, that's where we're picking up.
It did take a solid hour for the plot to sort of kick into gear, but it's in gear now.
It is.
The stakes are high.
Yeah.
The fate of the universe hangs in the balance.
That's what we think anyway. So part 5 picks up back at Castle Grayskull. Skeletor and his army are filling the throne room with He-Man in tow. As he climbs the dais, Skeletor grabs his staff from Pig Boy, who was an extra who won a contest that Mattel put on.
No kidding.
Yes,
Yeah.
that guy won a contest.
I was checking out the director's commentary earlier today, and they told the director, you got to find something for this kid to do because he's guaranteed a spot in the movie. But it was a child, I think.
I think it was like some
and he got
adolescent.
apparently he got sick from that shit that they had, like the makeup and stuff they put on his face. He got sick.
Like John Rhys Davies Gimli sick.
That kid goes around and does cons and stuff now.
What?
So cool for him.
God damn, man.
I
have got to land a role in some just shit cult
you're going to go
movie.
see a panel with Pig Boy from
that's
Masters of
awesome.
the Universe. He had no lines at all. He just stood there.
Here we come with the fifth or sixth mention. Skeletor says, "I've won," and asks, "How much longer till moonrise, y'all?" He's told, "It'll be half a preton." Skeletor
We've gone from half a chromon to half a preton really quick.
I wish that someone would do like the math, like a YouTube video with a math sheet off to one side to try to figure out what it all means. Skeletor taunts the sorcerer, saying, "Soon all the forces of Grayskull, all the powers of the universe will be vested in me." Me. That's gonna clip, but that's fine. It still sounds cool. The sorceress, who has become an old and wrinkled lady, urges him to stop the madness. Skeletor says, "Madness? I demand the destitution, shame, and loneliness of scorn. It is my destiny. It is my right. Nothing will deter me from it."
That's amazing stuff. Like, it's gone like
it's
huge.
full Shakespearean.
Yeah, it's awesome.
There's absolutely no way.
I demand the destitution, shame, and loneliness of scorn.
He thrives on being evil. Like, he likes being hated.
And that's your favorite thing.
There's no way the screenwriters wrote this.
That's all Frank
Yeah.
Langella is like, let me take a crack at it, boys.
Sorceress replies, "Men who crave power look back over the mistakes of their lives, pile them together, and call it destiny."
That's also deep as hell.
Yeah, it is.
Another's like, what screenwriter stepped into the room now? I think it's probably Frank, man.
I love Skeletor just saying, "Thank you for that bit of philosophy, sorceress. Here is my response." And then he whips, like, Blade.
Here is my response. Yeah, Blade.
Blade turns around with a shit-eating grin on his face. He's been standing there literally the whole time, dramatically turns around to show her the Sword of Grayskull, which to this point has figured 0.0% into the plot of this movie.
Yes.
So are we to think that just means she thinks, well, I mean, she can see He-Man.
He-Man's right there.
I don't get it.
They missed their chance. Like, the sword, well, I get that the cosmic key is a good MacGuffin.
Sure.
The sword should have been the MacGuffin. Like,
Right.
we have to have
Yeah.
the sword in whatever this fucking device is when Moonrise happens to open the eye or whatever.
It's relying on your knowledge of the He-Man mythos.
Yes, exactly.
That was that shit from the early comics, right? Like, that the sword.
But even from the cartoon, like
they're battling for the sword.
Yeah, well, not even control the sword necessarily, but it's like He-Man derives power somehow.
The power of Grayskull.
The power of Grayskull fills him through
by the
sword.
power of Grayskull.
Exactly. Which one do you want to watch first?
Yeah, like in those He-Man comic world, apparently there was like two halves to the sword. The Skeletor had a half, and He-Man had a half. And when you sort of snap the two together, then it would be a key that would unlock the mysteries or the power of Grayskull. But when the cartoon came along, I think they undid some of that.
Yeah.
But they could have carried that shit over because that's more compelling than there being two cosmic keys, and I gotta have them both.
The sorceress is shocked by the sword turn of events. Up to this moment, we're not even really sure how the sword figures into this. It's been of tertiary or even less importance the entire movie. But anyway, Skeletor says the sword is his now and inserts it into it. It's like some kind of locking mechanism. We're not even sure what it is.
It doesn't. You got to explain something.
It's all these buttons and
yeah, it's like obviously this seems to be important to whatever it is that's going to happen here, but it's never. We're not told why, or how.
Then Skeletor has some goons drag He-Man, her champion, forward, shackle him into place there on the platform in front of Skeletor.
It's like the type of locks that you used to lock to secure a laptop, or something like that.
Right? Yeah, exactly. At your corporate desk, Skeletor tells He-Man that he'll have a front seat to see him gain all the power of Grayskull. He also says that when the Great Eye opens, all the people of Eternia will see He-Man kneeling before him just before he's killed, which is stupid because he said already, it's like,
I can't kill him.
I don't,
Until
he'd be a martyr.
Until they've seen him
broken.
Until they've seen him bow down to me.
Right.
And acknowledge that I'm the real ruler, I guess.
Right.
It's a bad move to tell him that you're going to kill him.
Right.
Because then what's his incentive to kneel?
Let it be a surprise.
Oh, go on and kill me then, because I'm not going to kneel.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He-Man says, "I'll never kneel before you." Skeletor says, "Yes, you will. Yes, you will. Or I will reap unforgettable harm on you." That is an amazing line.
Unforgettable harm?
Unforgettable harm. I will reap unforgettable harm on you. He motions to Blade to get into position. Evil Lynn looks on with almost sexual interest in the pain that's about to start.
She did seem like visibly turned on.
Yeah.
Evil Lynn
She's
was
like,
by all
is-
this.
I'm very interesting. So Blade unfurls a lightsaber whip and starts lashing He-Man.
Yeah, dude. All this whole scene felt like some shit from any number of scenes out of Star Wars films.
Star Wars,
or like Kneel Before
Conan.
Zod, Superman 2 action.
I gotta tell you, Dolph is really stretching the believability of his acting with the whip. It seems like he's barely reacting to it.
He's in such good shape, though, if we can all agree. It's like at this moment that you look at that body and you're like, holy fuck.
He looks like he's made from plastic.
Yeah.
That's how I felt in especially in Rocky 4, like, because his body was so weird and like steroided up, I presume.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's a bit much. But yeah, Dolph's acting, dude.
It's terrible.
There was a great in that I've referenced it before, and I probably will again. But that In Search of the Last Action Heroes documentary that's on Amazon.
Yeah,
they talk about these actors, and one of the panelists or the interviewees lovingly refers to it as, their acting is a little rough around the edges, like compared to
sweet.
and compared to later era when it started to be the Tom Cruises and Nicolas Cage, like actors doing the big action movies, and like these guys who were glorified, muscle men, started sort of losing their place.
Yeah, their cred was gone.
But we're returning to that now. I mean, like, if you look at these Marvel, but it's
real actors, right, getting bulked up, but it's not like the closest that exists anymore is probably The Rock.
The Rock.
Yeah. Who's like started out being but he's got so much charisma.
Yeah,
it's incredible.
He's
sort of never done a good movie, to be honest, but he keeps getting well paid for doing what he does.
Yeah, he does.
Kumail is now ripped as hell. And I mean, all to stand in front of a green screen and say, "I need the key to Gomorgablah," or whatever, and rip and flex a few times.
I feel like, though, if I was in that acting world and they're like, "We're going to pay you and we're going to set you up with a nutritionist and a trainer and get you looking great," I'd be like, "Cool,
sign me up."
I guess.
Yeah, I'm there.
I could use some of that. I don't have to pay for it.
Yeah, done.
But Hemsworth takes it to the next level. That dude's like large,
yoked
dude.
as shit.
It's incredible. I feel like you're doing permanent damage to your body, though, by doing this massive bulk ups, and then
you're not going to be able to do it forever unless you're The Rock. Yeah, and you are going to be able to.
Because you see like Stallone and Schwarzenegger nowadays, like they don't their physiques, their frames,
but I also
don't necessarily look healthy.
But I also feel like that now people know more about metabolic science and exercise and fitness and things than they did back in the 80s and 70s when. And I mean,
you think they're doing it as safely as you can?
I think they're doing it as safely as you can.
Yeah, I buy that. I mean, you would like to think these guys aren't like taking years off their life to before.
But because at least Schwarzenegger still looks like he's not gonna like Stallone always looks terrible. Schwarzenegger, and I'm not saying that because I hate you, but Schwarzenegger still looks like a healthy old man, like a like a ripped old guy.
Oh sure.
I feel like he was probably eating healthy throughout. Who was it? It was some actor was talking about being around Stallone and how he didn't like eat any solid food. Like it was all fucking shakes and stuff that he was doing, and then he'd have like he'd have like a half a chicken or something for dinner. But like throughout the day, he was just having these various like shakes, and he didn't know what was in them.
He was so lean.
That can't be right though.
No.
Eat some salads at least. Like
don't
just drink it all.
He probably doesn't like. I can see Stallone being, "I don't like greens. I don't like lettuce." Anyway, Blade is beating He-Man. I love the diversity of reaction that we get. Skeletor is sort of like he can't watch some of the blows land. He's like grimacing and hiding behind his staff.
I got the impression he was almost like scared of how evil all this shit was, and
that's exactly what he's like.
He's like, it's about to all happen.
Yeah.
My plan's actually going to work.
Yeah,
and I'm sort of nervous about it.
I got that same vibe.
Oh, I thought he was getting like sexual gratification.
He could have been. He was kind of working that. He was working his staff or whatever a little bit.
In the shaft. Sorceress is distraught as she would be. Evil Lynn has a lady boner.
She was turned on.
Back on Earth, Lubbock's buddies are offering to drive him home after a long day.
They don't believe anything he said.
I love it, like Lubbock says, I was in Korea. I never saw anything like this.
Like, sir,
Apparently,
this is a Wendy's drive-through. It was like that type of shit.
yeah. Apparently, they found no signs of the huge battle that recently took place. Just then, the caddy comes zooming by in the background. Louis like, follow that car.
And he wrecked the shotgun.
I know.
I just want to see
Always.
I just want to see shells flying out each
Yeah, me
time he
too.
does it. Like anyway, that's rack number 3.
I like it's like that's Kevin driving the car. He's gone to Charlie's store to grab a keyboard. Back at the city fountain, Gwildor has gone full ET phone home rig, and Julie is like hanging in there with her busted leg. Kevin arrives back with the keyboard, which they connect to the cosmic key.
Tila almost just opened fire when he pulled up.
Always,
Like,
always about to kill somebody. Kevin shows Gwildor how the keyboard works. Gwildor is thrilled. I'll have this ready to preton.
Fuck.
What?
It was already, so it's too late, right? Because it was half a preton, I think, until moonrise.
God.
Anyway.
Maybe we're supposed to think that all this is happening concurrently, I guess.
I do like when he says, excellent.
Excellent.
That's a great, that sticks with me, that delivery. Excellent.
It's sort of like vaguely French.
I like it, dude.
Excellent.
I'm into it. Wait,
Um,
is that the type of keyboard that would run off batteries? Like, that thing was big. He's already playing it instantly. He just sat it down and started hitting it.
Like some of those bigger keyboards, like I think even mine is giant, but it'll take like a 9
D.
volt. Yeah, like a D or 9 volt battery.
Okay.
Kevin goes back to check on Julie, who's begging him not to, like, don't leave me. Kevin's like, I'll never leave you. And they're like, I love yous exchanged.
That was the moment where Gwildor sort of like nudges the man at arms, right? And he's like, look.
It's like, we don't have time for you to be noticing this shit, Gwildor.
He stopped his work.
I know. It's like, keep programming the fucking
Just
key.
do whatever it is you're doing over there, making the Earth tech compatible with
the preton is ticking. Back on Eternia, Blade is still whipping He-Man. Skeletor, who is now fully cowering behind his staff while he watches.
That was the one he was like, seemed like he was scared of how close he was to.
He's like ordering Blade to stop, then asks, "Where's your strength gone, He-Man?" And we're all wondering the same thing
Taunt the shit
since
out
the
of him.
beginning of this movie. He taunts He-Man, telling him to look at your sorceress withering away. Are you ready to kneel now, proud warrior?
He's like, I love kicking the sorceress when she's down. as well.
A soldier announces the moon is reaching its apex. He sounds like Buffalo Bill. The moon is reaching. Is she a great big fat girl?
It really sounds like a voiceover that's added in after the fact. We need to explain that the moon's about to rise.
Give us a robot voice.
The moon is reaching its apex. So Skeletor then gets out in your notes. You said biblical, and it's true. It's like, do you hear? The Alpha and the Omega, death and rebirth. And as you die, so will I be reborn. And the great close-ups of Frank Langella in that makeup.
Is this makeup look good?
Oh, sure.
Even
So-
close
it's
up,
the
it looked
best
good.
part of the movie is the close-ups of his face, and that's what I remember most from watching this movie are the close-ups of that makeup on the big screen.
Well, that's the shit that sticks with you, even if you can't remember what the plot was anymore.
Oh,
So it's just like the visuals.
It's just like it looks amazing.
Langella is like, he's way too good for this shit.
Oh, sure.
Because he is just killing it in
Yeah.
this moment. Fucking awesome stuff.
Yeah.
Legendary.
Back on Earth, the police have spotted the good guys preparing to open a portal. Lubick and they don't know they're opening a portal, but they spot him doing some shit. Lubick instructs the police to spread out and cover him. They all seem game. They're like, yeah, whatever you say
all
is
stay
right.
back.
Small town USA. He's like, I'm going to make the bust myself. We've cut back to Eternia. Skeletor addresses the planet via the holosphere. He tells them that he's been chosen by destiny to receive the power of Grayskull, and that they're all going to see it happen.
Out on that Eternian landscape, it was like literally the same shot, but nighttime of earlier when they were watching. They had mirrored it over, like they were just standing in reverse order, but it was just like they were doing a lot of corner cutting and cost savings on a movie that still cost as much as this one did.
He says that even He-Man will bear witness. Now I, Skeletor, am master of the universe.
There it is.
Titular
line.
He said it.
Yeah. The large iris, like telescoping iris behind the throne begins to open. Everyone's looking on either in horror or delight. Orbs of golden light fly through the open iris and pass into Skeletor, and that's a little reminiscent, I thought, of Raiders, the arc scene at the
Oh,
end.
hell yeah. I thought it was a little underwhelming as far as like the effects go.
That's the power.
This orb is supposed to be all the power in the universe, and it was like just a small
And so we were
little
talking.
thing.
We talked in an earlier episode of like what's the connection with the universe and Eternia. And another thing that I encountered in my deep dive on He-Man lore was that Eternia was supposed to have been the first planet.
It's like the center of the universe, right?
It was the planet from which the universe began.
Okay.
And so, as
guess.
Eternia goes, as the universe goes, rather, so Eternia goes, or vice versa.
Imagine if they had put that in like a prelude at the beginning
Right.
of this movie. You know, not Dune
Eternia,
style.
the
but
first planet, like
Yeah.
something like
They
that.
could have done better. Yeah, they made some reference to like the castle being at the vortex of the universe or
Right.
something like that. But like, yeah, you could have. They gave us a lot of weird exposition, but not any that
that actually helped
not
you
any-
understand
not any
what they
that
were
really
doing.
works.
it didn't enhance the movie.
Right. So Skeletor, now glowing, says he can feel the energy of the universe flowing through him. I am part of the cosmos, which is always anytime anyone says the word cosmos, I'm into it. I'm part of the cosmos. Skeletor, smiling, asks He-Man, "Of what consequence are you now?" That's
I
badass.
love it, dude.
Yeah. Eternia and its people mean nothing to him. He says the
I
universe is...
wonder, is the holosphere still on? Like, is everyone
he's
seeing
still
him
got it turned on.
say this?
It's like watching MMA. It's like a big fight's on.
It was like that Batman Returns the Penguin.
Yeah,
like
exactly.
I played Stinking
played this
City.
city like a hawk
Well,
from
here,
hell.
none of the people here matter to me.
Yeah. He's
Like,
like,
well, shit.
the universe is power, pure, unstoppable power, and
That's
I
some-
am that force.
That's some Emperor Palpatine shit.
He is going like Frank Langella goes off the rails in delivering these lines, and it's like it's a shame. Like the only actor that I can think of that really like gets into it like this and like really ripping it is like Andy Serkis as Gollum or something
Sure.
like that. It's like that's the performance that I can think of that's like this crazy, like where the actor's like going for it and like
Playing the
risking
back
their
row.
voice and doing the thing. It's like he says, I am that force, I am that power, kneel before you, master. He-Man's like, I can't even really see what's happening.
Evelyn looked a little, in this moment, she looked a little concerned.
Yeah, she's like, what
Like,
the fuck?
oh shit, this guy's kind of crazy.
It's like a Super Saiyan power
I think
up
this
gone
guy
wrong.
might be crazy.
Yeah, Skeletor says that He-Man, he's like, you are no longer my equal because I am more than man, more than life. I am, God. Golden
Dude,
light.
imagine trying to sell that like as an actor.
I've
you look at
thought-
those pages and you're like, okay, I can do this. Like that's so big.
I've thought about that so many times rewatching this movie now as an adult. Like seeing Frank Langella, like the little turns he does with his head, like as he's writhing, like supposed to be feeling the power and stuff. And like what it must have been like to be on set watching someone doing that.
Mm-hmm.
And then what it must have been like to be, and we've talked about this before, like given all you've got in a scene, but then like when you watch the movie, it's like you hear the music, you hear the sound effects and stuff, but on set, it's just someone screaming at the top of their lungs and there's
It's probably
nothing,
all muffled as well
and
because
there's
you're
nothing else happening. Oh my God. Wow. It makes me respect the portrayal even
like
more.
he's pulling it off.
Oh, yeah.
Like it's amazing to me. I'm in awe of that.
Me too. So this like golden light blazes. People have to look away from the brilliance except for Evil Lynn, who sort of like can't take her eyes off the scene. As the light fades, we see Skeletor now in this ornate, badass golden armor.
Yeah, it's kind of Aztec looking.
Oh,
It was.
It's, and this is the point where I can remember we had the VHS bootleg, and I rewound and watched the scene, like this whole part where he delivers the speech and is being indwelt by the power of the universe. And like I rewatched this portion of that VHS tape out, like just the transformation and then the final battle over and over.
So
and
it's
over again.
over, right? He's got all the power of the universe now.
That's what you think?
It's a done deal. Is how I like. There's
Skeletor is now the master of the universe.
Yeah.
So he in his amazing armor orders He-Man to kneel and begins zapping him with blasts from his eyes, which is I don't think a power that he had before.
No. Somehow He-Man is able to withstand that.
I always have felt like, though, as cool as it looks and as badass as it is, not enough is made of the transformation into a master of the universe.
It barely makes a difference.
Yeah.
It reminded me of some shit out of like Big Trouble in Little China when Lopan like
Where he's become
becomes
human.
Lopan.
He's like,
You know?
I'm human now.
Or no, I'm thinking like when he goes from old man
yeah,
into like
sure.
the big master wizard guy.
So it's barely made a difference.
Yeah.
So we have to linger on it. The stakes have to get higher. Is my opinion. The eye blast just kind of knocks He-Man back. Shouldn't it be strong? It should be strong. It should like level He-Man. It should knock him down.
Something.
Is He-Man unless He-Man is still a master
strong?
of the universe? Like there are multiple masters at this
plural,
point.
yeah.
That's all I can think of is
Yeah.
that at this point Skeletor has achieved God status.
They were kind of
He-Man
equals.
never lost it.
Yeah.
They were equals before, right?
Right.
Sort of, more or less at a similar level of
So I
power.
guess
So now,
you really could think of it in like Saiyan terms. So it's like Skeletor has achieved like one level up maybe, but like
Okay.
He-Man's still no slouch. So we cut back to Earth. Lubik's trying to sneak up on the good guys still. Gwildor and Kevin are putting the finishing touches on the repaired cosmic key. Gwildor gives it some juice and tells Kevin to play the toads. Kevin starts jamming out. Lubik pops out and tells him, freeze, you're all under arrest.
he pops out and racks that shotgun.
Again.
Like rack number 4.
I feel like Kevin's also barely touching the keyboard,
Yeah,
by the way.
it's like the speakers on the cosmic key kind of kick ass. So he like grabs Kevin right as the portal's appearing, and then as it's happening, we cut back to Eternia. Skeletor is taunting He-Man. He's like, "Where are your friends now?" And this is
That's
where
some
we
emperor shit,
Yeah.
isn't it?
we get this amazing bit of like Frank Langella written like this was authenticated. He wrote, "It's like, tell me about the loneliness of good. It is equal to the loneliness of evil."
Fucking amazing
Love
stuff.
it. It's badass.
That's deep.
Just then, a portal opens in the throne room. All the good guys, plus Lubik, who I guess is also kind of a good guy, along with the half Cadillac and part of a brick wall. What? Why?
It worked like the time machine shit from Terminator movies, where like
Yeah,
taking
there's a big
orb or
bubble.
something.
Yeah, that
But
takes everything with it.
what I was thinking was, I had an idea. Like to
Hit
me,
us.
the power has already transferred to Skeletor. Like
Right.
Okay.
I feel like the battle has been won now, but I think it's been established previously. If not, we know it's possible that the key can also, you can transport yourself back in time a little bit.
Right.
Yeah.
Like they should have gone back to before the power transferred, and you replay that last act where they pop out before, and then the battle breaks out before he's got all the armor and the power. That just seemed like an easy thing. And
Yeah, maybe they didn't, but they don't know, right? Do they
They-
know that the power is
they should-
transferred?
What if they had like felt, I don't know, some sort of disturbance in the
Oh,
universe?
sure. I mean, yeah, anything,
back on
anything
Earth.
can be written into a movie. You're right.
Or
yeah.
they just know that the time for Moonrise has passed already,
Yeah.
Right.
which they could maybe know, but it would have been pretty rad to have like its trimmer. And they're like, oh shit, it's
Or why
already
not-
over. Well, no, wait, we can go back 15 minutes
Or
earlier.
why not go back about one Chromon, one full Chromon, and station all of Eternia's forces in the throne room when Skeletor's
ready
forces
for
dropped
it.
in and
Yeah.
fucking knock them all out.
Well, that's that shit. Oh, or we go back however many years and
Anyway.
kill baby Skeletor in the crib.
Kill King Randor's brother. Anyway, Skeletor orders his kill them, and everyone starts shooting. He-Man screams at Skeletor, "You promised not to hurt them." I lied. Farewell, He-Man. Okay.
I don't even consider this Skeletor breaking his promise.
No,
like
that
they
ship
popped in
has
and started
sailed.
shooting.
I know.
Yeah, that ship has sailed. Skeletor goes to zap He-Man with one of his lightning bolts, but He-Man moves quickly enough that the lightning bolt hits his shackles and breaks it. One would think that all the powers in the universe would give one better or faster aim and reflexes. Anyway, He-Man starts then beating ass. Duncan's barking orders at Kevin and Lubik.
Well, He-Man just snaps the other shackle.
Yeah, he just breaks it.
That gave me that impression like he could have just escaped any time. It's like when Superman would like let the humans handcuff him because
Right.
it made them feel more comfortable.
Right.
You know?
Yeah, Duncan's saying, "Hey, you, Lubik, Kevin."
Give me some cover
Yeah.
action.
Lubik almost gets shot, and that is the final straw. Hey, nobody take pot shot at Lubik. All right, pinkos, you want to play games? No, let's play. Come on, you mother.
That's
he
so
starts-
good. He racks the shotgun again.
Like 6 or
for
7 more times. I
But
don't even
well, now
know.
once you're firing, you got to
Yeah.
rack it in between each shot.
Yeah.
But
He mows those guys down, though, man.
oh, it's badass, dude.
If only we knew that a
went
shotgun
third.
would do the trick.
Lubick went third person on us too. Like nobody takes pot shots at Lubick. He's accusing the baddies of being like communists.
I know. Pinkos. Evil Lyn, Karg, and the Beastman seem to all. They're like, we should go, right? Skeletor is telling his army, still don't kill He-Man because I want him. I don't know.
No, kill him now. You've got all the power you don't need.
At this point, the people of Eternia watching at home aren't seeing what Skeletor intended them to see.
You gotta kill He-Man if you have an opportunity. No, I want him alive.
As the master of the universe, it doesn't matter what your propaganda machine.
You got the power
like.
now. Who cares? The people probably heard you on the TV talking about how you don't care about their lives anyway.
No, they definitely heard that.
Holosphere.
Yeah. So He-Man snatches a rifle away from the stormtrooper, beats up Blade. Blade is a non-issue.
No, easy. He just gets beaten up easily.
Ineffectual.
We never even see him again. Well, I don't know what happened to Blade. He didn't get killed on screen. But then he's just gone now.
Yeah.
No, I was just gonna say that was probably the end of his shooting days. Like they probably were like, never mind.
You know what?
Yeah.
Actually, that actor, it'll come up in a minute, but he was Skeletor the swordsman.
Yeah.
Right. Was the same. Right. So you're probably like, I got to go change costumes, guys. Like,
probably. It's like you realize how long it takes to get the hood on. So the good guys at this point seem to be winning because Skeletor has essentially cut off his own force's legs. He's like, don't kill anyone.
Don't kill He-Man.
He-Man takes cover behind a giant statue, then tips it over for no reason.
For no reason at all.
Except for
just to show strength.
Well, except for maybe one of the producers or someone was like, he hasn't really done anything strong at this point.
It doesn't land on anybody or anything.
No. It's his only truly magnificent feat of strength, and it does nothing. It means nothing. Evil Lyn tells Karg to prepare her ship and signal for retreat. Who's she signaling? The rest of the army?
I guess her little
maybe she's got
unit?
her own
her
Karg is dismayed that they would abandon Skeletor, but it's like, let's do that.
I actually dig this. Like they're just like, you're too crazy even for us.
Yeah, we're done.
Skeletor.
We're saving our skins.
This fucking shit's getting crazy now.
Well,
they heard that over the top speech he gave, and it was just like, oh, this.
The I am a god line. Everyone's like,
that's where he lost. Evil Lyn lost her little lady boner for
blaspheme, sir. So He-Man swings across the room on a banner, goes for the sword of Grayskull. Skeletor blasts He-Man with lightning, gold lightning now.
It doesn't seem to be even having an effect. Like it's like a slap on the wrist.
Yeah, He-Man is able to pull the sword from whatever the thing is that Skeletor put it into. The sword, it's a sword in the stone moment, like King Arthur. I have the power.
It's the moment Kyle's been waiting for.
Yes, but it has
every 6-year-old's been waiting for that.
It has
moment.
no weight in the movie, though.
No, he pulls it out, and it's like, okay.
Because in the cartoon he would sort of. I mean, I guess Prince Adam was always sort of bulky.
Yeah,
but it seemed like he'd just sort of yoke up a little bit when he gave the line.
We are all wondering what in the fuck exactly is supposed to happen now. But there's some back and forth smack talk between He-Man and Skeletor before they start fighting. He's
I like the He-Man line. Enough talk.
Yeah. Like, yes. And then Skeletor's like, fuck yes. So I used to rewind this sequence over and over again. There's like all of the lighting here gets very, very artsy. I think lots of gold and blue lighting effects.
I feel like it's a trick to hide the fact that the background players are gone now. We can't have these extras for days and days just fighting in the background.
Badass.
But that was where Anthony DeLongis took over.
Yeah, badass. Like the props to him fighting in that big Skeletor getup with the staff is like, how
the full makeup and all that plus the armor.
Yeah. They go at it a while with He-Man eventually. All right. He-Man he breaks Skeletor's staff in half, and now Skeletor reverts back to old Skeletor.
He loses the power.
That's what was his power was like linked to the staff somehow. Like was it like his sword of Grayskull?
No one knew that that's the way it was because the power went into him.
Yeah,
but is it like if you break it, like if He-Man had hit one of the horns on Skeletor's golden helmet, would that have done it?
I
guess I failed to understand what Skeletor's plan was at this point because if he was still so easily defeated by He-Man, what advantage did he get?
It's like I got all the power in the universe, and then He-Man dispatched me in 30 seconds.
Yeah, it doesn't make any sense. It's like, does that really? I was like, so He-Man's still a badass,
right?
That's never been. Well, it has been the question the whole movie.
He ought to have lost something about the machine that the sword went into, the little device. It should have been like. We're transferring the power's transferring out of the sword into Skeletor or into Skeletor's staff or something.
The fact that the power went into the staff doesn't make any sense other than in the cartoon, the sword was like the conduit for the power of Grayskull into Prince Adam to become He-Man.
Right.
So but more needed to be made than the entire movie. It would have been more effective if
The sword should have been the MacGuffin almost
if
to me.
Skeletor had used the sword.
Like, I need that sword by Moonrise because it's essential to the transfer of power or something.
It's just clear to me that Gary Goddard didn't actually want to make a He-Man movie. Like, he wanted to tell a different story, you know, maybe a New Gods film or something else that's kind of
cool.
more his speed. But he had to tell a He-Man story.
Didn't they say either on? It might have been on that video you sent me about the origins of Skeletor, or something else I read that he took his inspiration for his Skeletor was Darkseid.
Yeah. Darkseid from Superman.
Yeah, did he?
Superman.
Yeah, I don't know where that was, but I think he's on record as saying that's inspired my version of Skeletor.
Yeah. Well, quite a few of those characters are analogs, actually. Like, Evil N is for this character Granny Goodness. There's He-Man is like Orion. Blade is Kanto. So there's a lot of like comic analogs from that series, and even like the Cosmic Key is like the mother boxes that are like that show up in Justice League. Very similar. Very similar stuff. And so it's, to me, there's like all these ill-fitting sort of fourth world analogs that have to live up next to these Conan the Barbarian He-Man riffs.
Right.
And the sword is just this extra thing. He's like, I gotta do something with this fucking sword.
There's a lot of ingredients in this recipe,
but
basically.
I feel like there was, I don't know, I feel like they could have pulled it off if they thought a little more about it, but I guess they just didn't have time. Anyway, Skeletor reverts instantaneously back to his former appearance, appears defeated, like hunched over on the ground. He-Man says, Skeletor, it's over. Skeletor says, yes, for you. He draws a sword that we haven't seen before, but he has it now.
It's under that cape somewhere.
And he attacks. And I always, notice in the cartoon how much Skeletor's sword looked like the Sword of Grayskull.
Right.
But and even in this case, it sort of looked similar. But anyway, he knocks the Sword of Grayskull out of He-Man's hand. It slides across the floor toward the edge of like one of the bottomless chasms that leads to Gwildor's house. He-Man dives and is able to catch the sword just before it falls, and he like fights back and knocks Skeletor off the ledge into a pit.
The end.
And Skeletor screams through a closed mouth.
That was a very anticlimactic ending for that duel.
It broke my heart. Even as a kid, I was like, what?
He just sort of shoulder blocked him off the ledge, and that was it.
No one was more surprised than He-Man that he won that fight. The light in the room immediately changes as the great eye of the universe closes. The force field around the sorceress breaks up, and her energy tie to the Skeletor is broken, so she looks great, very healthy and hale. Duncan yells that He-Man has saved the day.
Victory!
I'm not even sure that He-Man seems sure that he saved the day. Victory!
There's some very meager, meager cheering.
Well, there are only 5 people in the room, but
Gwildor.
Victory!
Or no, He-Man at the end. He-Man.
Victory. Cut to sometime, days, weeks, who knows?
Sometime has passed for sure.
The sorceress
cleaned up.
The sorceress is sitting on the throne of Grayskull. She's flanked by Gwildor and Lubick. Lubick, who has like
an 80s babe. Like
she looks like the captain's girl from Road Warrior.
Yeah,
almost.
it's like just like a mall chick.
Yeah, they're all like dressed in fancy robes. Julie appears to have been healed.
Why not show her get healed?
Right.
That's just that was the whole that was the stakes, or that was half the stakes when they came
see
here.
The sorceress do something other
off
than
screen.
sand.
It's like off screen. He-Man kills Skeletor. It's like off screen. Julie's life is saved.
Right.
Yeah, I don't know.
Kevin's asking,
I think they were just ready for it to be over.
I think they were like, we don't have time. We're too far in the process. Kevin's like asking Lubick, are you really going to stay here in Eternia? Lubick's like, yeah, I live in a castle. I got this it's a perfect retirement. Why would I go back? That's valid.
I hope he has no family that he's leaving behind.
It's like a little sad if you think about it. He's got like no meaningful relationships back on Earth that he's leaving. He's got like a nagging wife or something.
An ex-wife.
That's incredible.
An ex-wife with a killer alimony
He was
payment.
on full on like dirty old man mode too.
Oh, yeah.
Like he's sort of like getting handsy with the girl, like squeezing her tush and doing that shit with his tongue like in his lips.
That's his move, that weird tongue thing.
Watching that scene play out, it made me wonder, like, I wonder if Tolkien has ever had an on-screen kiss in his career. There's certain actors that probably never have because you're not that type of actor. You don't play those
He's
parts.
a heavy. Yeah, heavies never get romantic.
I kind of want someone to cast Tolkien as a lead in like a role
Like a
like
straight
in Limey.
story type
no,
thing?
like in Limey. Did you see that?
Yeah, with Stamp.
Yeah,
Was it Terrence Stamp?
Stamp.
Oh, that's a great movie.
I would love
He's too old for it now, right? In 90?
Shit, is he that old?
Yeah,
I guess
he's
so.
90. Yeah.
Fuck.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Bring him back. Get his ass
Back
out.
to the Future. Put him in the DeLorean.
That's right. You slackers. So the sorceress gives Julie a small trinket. It's like a little globe with a ringlet thing around, like a decorative metalwork ringlet around it. Tells her, keep it, and Eternia will always be near. Julie starts to say her goodbyes, but Tila says, in Eternia, we say good journey.
It's getting a little emotional.
Yeah.
The good score work from Conti in this moment, too.
I like this. I get a very, like, the road goes ever on and on from Tolkien sort of deal. Like, Duncan comes in saying, there's an old Eternian saying, live the journey, for every destination is but a doorway to another.
Another what? We don't know. Another journey?
Yeah.
Another doorway?
Gwildor, who has been bedazzled.
Yeah, that's the worst. The little shitty gold bows in his hair.
What's he? Thrunian?
Thenurian.
Maybe that's Thenurian, like, finery. They braid
it has
the beard.
to be. He kind of looks shittier than ever.
It's sort of what I imagine that they would do to, like, dwarf beards in Tolkien.
Yeah, they'd braid him up fancy.
Yeah. He seems moved anyway.
Uh-huh.
Julie hugs He-Man, who tells Kevin, you look after her.
Dude, He-Man was oiled up
was.
in this scene. He was glistening.
I wouldn't want to touch him. He-Man tells Gwildor, open the portal. Back to Earth, Gwildor says, hey, not that you knew this before, but I can take you forward and backward in time if you like. And then Kevin's like quickly like, no, just send us back.
And Julie agrees. She's like, yeah, just take us back. What the fuck?
Maybe she didn't think hard enough about it. But it's weird.
I feel like that's all she ever thinks about.
Yeah.
It's weird, but I detected, maybe I was reading into it, like a little glance he gives, like, I'm going to take matters into my own hands.
Do you think that Kevin was after Julie's mom's money?
Ooh. Well, I'm wondering, like, did you get the impression that Julie was now going to stay in California? Or was she still planning to go to,
I think she
after all this, was she going to still go to Jersey?
I think she was probably going to stay with Kevin.
Yeah, okay. So it's like a life-changing journey, I would like to think, but I don't know.
And the music in this moment was that Close Encounters shit that you were talking about. Very Close Encounters-y.
So Gwildor opens the portal. Everyone's waving goodbye. Just as Julie and Kevin are passing through, Julie screams for Gwildor to send me back to before. And then we don't hear what
Too
it
late.
is. Light flashes.
Gone through.
Yeah, they've passed through. Julie awakes in her bed.
What? Shouldn't she have popped out the other side of a portal?
Yeah.
What's happening?
Gwildor took matters into his own hands.
Maybe if you go into the past, perhaps you just pop back into yourself in that moment in the past.
Would Kevin not have been with her?
I don't know. I think I'm apologizing for them, but the only thing I think is maybe if you go into the past, wouldn't there be two Julies?
Yeah,
maybe you pop into yourself, into the one you that
you must
where
that
you
must
were at that
it
moment in the past. Your consciousness pops into that shell.
I mean, I have a lot of questions about this time travel thing, but like at this point, isn't she stuck in a time loop?
Yeah, literally.
With you're right. The Eternians should show up again,
right?
So,
I mean, do they does time not count for them?
She's been like reinserted into the Matrix, like
exactly,
like Joe Pantaleone or whatever in the flick,
like Cypher,
Yeah,
so she awakes in her bed, hugging a picture frame of her. She thought dead parents beside her bed.
There was like this ridiculous dream board or vision board above her bed. Did you like pause that shit? There was just random phrases on it. One that said "How to enjoy poetry." Like what?
Kids are weird.
And there was also one of the big clippings said Friends, which was like a little bit.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Man, lots of Friends references in this movie. That's very prescient. So she gets up, she goes exploring the house, which is no longer all boxed up to move.
So she has to know some shit's going on.
Yeah, it's very normally decorated, like
Dude,
people are living
that
there.
Nightgown.
It's great. Like
it was head to toe granny style
like
nightgown.
A big like lacy collar.
Long sleeved.
Yeah. She finds mom and dad in the kitchen and freaks, says, I never want to lose you. Her mom says, we're all going away to Catalina for the day. We'll be back tonight. Julie says, I've changed my mind. I want to go to the beach with you. Mom says, stop being silly. Stay home and study like you plan. Little did mom know that she was planning to stay home and fuck Kevin. Julie tells him, I feel like something's going to happen if you go. Mom says, you're being ridiculous. Your dad's an excellent pilot. They've got money.
Apparently not, though, right? Because he was going to crash that plane.
I don't know. Like maybe it was a weather-related issue. Yeah. So Julie grabs the keys and the charts from the counter, runs out of the house. Julie, put those keys back now.
He struck like an aggressive sort of stance, like it was about to get violent.
Like a horrible father.
That dude was the stunt coordinator for the film.
Oh, really?
Was the guy?
Julie, put those keys back.
So he bowed up.
He did, like he was going to
kill
it.
So he can't act, is what you're telling me.
Yeah. Like we need someone who can deliver one line.
You're already on the
serviceably.
set. As Julie runs out into the street in her grandmotherly nightgown, Kevin comes running up.
Did he live that close?
I think he'd just been sprinting since he woke up in his coma. Like,
wouldn't he in theory would have woken up in his bed probably, right?
Yeah.
Was it quicker to run than get in the van?
No one fucking knows. Maybe he'd been asleep in his van down the street.
He was fully dressed.
Yeah.
Not in his pajamas.
No.
I don't think he could have gotten dressed and gotten there quick.
Maybe he'd just gotten off a gig at Club Zero.
Maybe he woke up way earlier than her, though.
Yeah,
maybe he gets up early. I can see it.
They embrace. Kevin tells her, don't let your parents go on that flight. She says, I've already stopped them. So at this point, we're perfectly clear that they've gone back in time. It's time to make a Biff Tannen-like sports bet. If I'm
right?
Hell
yeah. They're 18. They're old enough to make bets.
Absolutely.
Oh, yeah. Kevin has the trinket now for some reason.
Yeah.
He has
she's elated that Kevin remembers the adventure to Eternia. Kevin has the little bauble that sorceress gave them. I don't.
She had that when they came through.
Same reason that somehow the cosmic key got lost when Gwildor was flying through space. As we zoom in on the thing, on the little bauble, we see Castle Grayskull and He-Man, sword drawn, screaming, I have the power. Roll credits. And in the first maybe ever post-credit scene, Skeletor pops out of some red bubbling liquid with a green skull, which I think is just the lighting. I don't know if it was supposed to be green, but saying,
I think
I'll be back. And
he was not. He never came back.
And he never did come back.
There were stingers or whatever prior to this, but this was like, it's early in the game.
I don't remember any earlier.
I did research. There were some like in the 60s.
Really?
Yeah. But this is like, is kind of cutting edge. Ferris Bueller did it.
Yeah,
which might have been before this. I don't know the year on Ferris Bueller.
But with Ferris Bueller, like it wasn't teasing a sequel. Like this to me feels like one of the first times that a sequel was ever. It's in the same vein.
Tease at a larger like story,
which is
or
really
universe.
really quite clever as a mechanism to get people to look at everyone's names.
Agreed.
But to me, like this ending is still just like a horror story because it's like she's stuck. They're stuck in a time loop now because the Eternians will come back to do this entire adventure all over again.
You would think it has to play out the same way. They have to come back. I mean, I guess Julie probably wouldn't. Now everything's thrown off, so they might not be at the right place at the right time.
I was about to say they wouldn't be in the graveyard to find the key.
That's true.
Yeah,
that's true.
Oh,
but
if they're not there to find the key, then maybe Skeletor wins this.
Sounds like they're having an adventure with the caretaker.
But I think that exactly. That's amazing.
And Carl the janitor.
I think that if Julie and Kevin don't find the key in the graveyard, that Tila and
they would have
find it even sooner and bebop it right back to Eternia.
That seems the most likely outcome.
Yeah.
All right, I'm into that. I'm not into Skeletor stealing our guy Schwarzenegger's "I'll be back" line, but
no,
whatever.
I'm also just there's so much about transference of the powers of Grayskull. What do the powers of Grayskull enable one to do?
Yeah.
Because even as much as they sound great, He-Man is not a great hero in this movie.
No. This is an ensemble piece.
He is not imbued with any power greater than anyone else has, except for maybe the toppling of a statue that seemed to have already been weakened by blaster fire.
I don't think anyone else could have just dispatched Skeletor with ease. But like we can tell, I think he's supposed to be more important than the other characters, but he's not in the top 4 largest characters in this movie.
No. He's just a strong guy.
I don't know if it's just a lack of acting talent, limited what they would let him do. Or he was just rough around the edges, as the nice way to say it's a little rougher around the edges.
I mean, they were probably working around Dolph's talents, but I just get the impression Goddard wasn't that in love with the source material.
That's true. He wanted to tell his own story.
Yeah, and I don't think He-Man necessarily fits into like the 80s adventure template in the same way that was like popular at the time.
Especially the late 80s.
Yeah.
Like this was more of a Beastmaster type era story that you could have gone heavier into the barbarian stuff.
The more that I think about movies in the 80s that would have come out roughly, not exactly, but roughly the same time that have a similar issue, and this is not to shortchange the talents of a young Tom Cruise, but this movie, as I think more about it, starts to take on a similar dimension to Legend.
Sure.
Mm-hmm.
In that Tim Curry,
amazing performance,
and a talented cast of little folk, including Billy Barty.
Yep.
Like drove that movie. Your star is the hero, but he's only as strong as the rest of the people are around him.
Yeah.
And a lot of the action is driven by how it's sort of like he's like Darth Vader. It's like Star Wars is badass because Darth Vader is badass.
Right.
They say about those movies like they're only as good as your villain.
Yeah.
So in that way, this movie's badass because Langella's Skeletor is awesome.
It's not like Die Hard where your good guy and your bad guy both fuck hard.
Yeah. That's an all-time great villain though.
Yeah,
Hans.
exactly.
The movie, guys, it made only 17 million worldwide. That's about what the budget was.
That's heartbreaking to think about.
It was the 65th highest grossing movie of that year.
It does make me
big
sad.
whiff for canon, you know.
Yeah. And it's the one that that basically shut them down.
Plus Superman 4 Quest for Peace was an equally large bomb.
Wait, when did Bloodsport come out? Right before this?
88.
Oh, was it 88?
But it was one of those where they said they had it in the can for 2 years.
Yeah.
Thinking like this is dog shit, and then they went back and re-edited it.
Yeah,
and they were like, okay, we salvaged it. Those should have helped, but I think these two big flops put them on life support, where they were always just one step ahead of the Predators.
This is them trying to enter the family Spielberg adventure realm. Yeah,
so there was a sequel in place, I think, before this movie ever even hit theaters.
They had it cast. They had it ready to go.
Is there any information out there about that sequel?
What I read was that it would have seen Skeletor return to Earth and sort of ravage the planet.
Okay.
And then He-Man, I guess, hears what's going on and travels to Earth, and he's sort of battling Skeletor in like a post-apocalyptic Earth.
Oh, well, I guess that would explain the eventual use of those sets
for
Cyborg.
Yeah, I think once that got shit canned, they took some of the costumes that they had sort of already done and built some of the sets and used them to make Cyborg, the Van Damme flick. One of your favorites too, right? You like Cyborg?
Oh yeah, of course. You know, one of the guys looks like he's wearing Blade's costume to a certain degree. I can't remember.
Oh, wait, the main guy. Who played a war child in Point Break.
Yeah.
That dude had a look. He should have been a big star.
He should have.
But yeah, the 1987 though had some strong movies that weren't this one. You know, like seminal action movies came out that year, dude. Lethal Weapon, Predator, and RoboCop all came out that year.
The best.
Running Man also.
I showed Hannah RoboCop the first time a few months ago. Yeah, she had a great time.
It's great, right?
Yeah, I can't believe that was turned into a kid's cartoon.
Right?
It's hard to believe.
Wow. I don't know. That was as violent as you like. To the point that they knew what they were doing. That's one of the ones we like to laugh at is when Ed 209 just like kills the dude in the boardroom.
Yeah.
He's like, will someone call a goddamn paramedic? He's like blown to pieces. That's amazing.
Yeah, well, Paul Verhoeven, man, got a new movie coming out too.
What's he doing? He's been
called-
doing this like kind of erotic
the Nun
thrillers,
movie.
right?
Yeah, Benedetta, I think it's called.
Benedetta. And
It is kind of an erotic
It's
thriller,
a true
right?
story about some lesbian nuns.
Yeah, he's into that
and,
stuff.
And they are on their media campaigns having to fend off criticism of him and his treatment of sexuality, and the actresses and the actors are all like jumping to his aid and being like, it's a true story.
Sure.
And that's his thing is like, it happened, so what's the big deal?
Did they take that to Cannes?
Yeah.
Did it get well received by film critics?
I haven't heard any of all I've heard
read
is the criticism of the subject matter and his
salacious,
treatment of, it's just like Verhoeven doing more like people with their.
I mean, there's a little bit of
the New York Times review is director of Showgirls tackles lesbian nuns or something like that. And I was like, come on, guys.
He's done. Yeah, he's got some legitimate like cred as well, you know.
Yeah.
But dude, other top grossing movies of that year. This was the top 3: 3 Men and a Baby,
Okay,
Great movie.
Fatal Attraction, Beverly Hills
Ooh.
Cop 2,
all right.
Good Morning Vietnam, and Moonstruck were like the top 5. That rounded.
Wow, what a diverse lineup of movies,
And
man.
imagine an era in which it's not just 5 special effects tentpole movies. It's like some of those have 3 Men and a Baby, 0 special effects, I'm sure.
Oh, yeah.
It's just people in rooms talking. And that, if done well, is more entertaining than something like this Masters of the Universe. But
I mean, I'm thinking like a Cher movie, in the top 5. That's incredible. I mean, obviously it's a different era.
Academy Award winning Cher, right?
Right.
I know. Wow.
Others that we dig that came out that year, The Untouchables.
Yeah, of course.
Fucking killer.
Fucking love that movie.
Stakeout, which I love.
Yep.
Dirty Dancing came out that year.
Love that movie. Sexual Awakening.
Throw Mama from the Train.
Love that one too.
One of my
These are
father's
good movies.
favorite movies to hate, actually.
Oh, he hates that?
movie. Yeah.
I mean, it's dark.
It is dark, and it is very much in the same vein as Cable Guy.
It is, yeah. It's, you take a grim source material or whatever, and Full Metal Jacket and Wall Street both came out that year.
Shit.
Such
God.
good movies, man.
Was that a banner year for motion pictures?
I mean, it feels like it.
It's a good year, yeah.
Spaceballs came out.
Wow.
The Lost Boys and The Princess Bride.
Fucking hell. There was something for everyone,
It
literally.
really was, like, across the board, all types of movies represented.
And
Awesome.
this is what Canon's doing.
Yeah, they're fucking around with ruining Superman and ruining He-Man.
Yeah.
In 1 year.
Like
Good for them.
literally taking what should have been like
Like I said, it's a can't miss.
it's a touchdown. Like it was you couldn't go wrong, and somehow they went wrong.
Who else could have played He-Man?
That's a hard question to answer, man.
Hulk Hogan?
Oh, no.
Schwarzenegger.
Would he have been better? Or, I mean, that would have been the dream,
Well,
right?
the problem with Hulk Hogan was that he was balding.
Yeah, he was balding.
Yeah, you would have put a wig on him, but
It wouldn't be
It would have
believable.
put that page boy on him.
That's the thing is like if Dolph Lundgren had more acting talent, like physically, that's the guy.
Oh, he's perfect
That's
for
the
it.
guy.
He's the prototype.
Yeah.
I don't know who else was around at that era that could have played He-Man.
I mean, I keep thinking of actors that look like the Beastmaster, but
Yeah.
that guy's
But
a
you
little
need someone
slim,
larger than
yeah.
life, and there's just not that many of those dudes out there.
But even that guy, the guy that played Dar, like I mean, some you could find someone like
He
that.
has a name.
Mark Singer.
It's Mark Singer.
Yeah, sorry. I mean, it had completely left my mind.
bad, you guys.
He has
My
a
bad.
name, John.
He's at Dragon Con very often.
Is he?
Yeah.
Oh,
at least
I've never
he
seen
was
him.
when I was
wanna
going.
meet. What's his name?
Mark Singer. Asshole.
I just got the 4K of that.
Oh, hell
badass.
Yeah.
How does it look?
It
Sometimes
looks pretty good.
sometimes they look too good, and you start to see the cracks in the plaster.
Nah, it's not like that. The problem with this movie is that some of the existing film elements don't look great. So there's a little bit of like, you see some crackles here and there.
Yeah.
But like, Vinegar Syndrome, we put that out. They just put out that and the 90s cult movie Six String Samurai. They just
I don't
put
know
that
that
out
one.
in 4K. It's like a rockabilly post-apocalypse
Ooh.
film.
Hell yeah,
it's
that
kinda
sounds
great.
amazing.
It's kind of great. But they started like a 4K line. And those are the two that they debuted with, along with Scanner Cop.
I don't know that
the
one.
sequel to Scanners, but about a cop who does scanning.
Was it like an authentic sequel? It was.
Yes, it's Scanners 4.
Okay.
Yeah,
Rad.
there were many Scanner sequels that
I didn't even
Cronenberg
know.
was not involved in.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, sorry.
It's like all the
Aside.
RoboCop sequels.
Yeah, exactly.
They just didn't stop.
This is far worse.
Yeah, no, I'm sure. Oh, my gosh. Well, it's hard to be worse than RoboCop 3.
My mom took me to the theater to see that when we lived in Germany.
Wow.
Yeah, it was
just-
written by Frank Miller.
Shit.
RoboCop 3. Yeah.
Oh, it should have been better.
Yeah, he wrote the treatment for RoboCop 2 as well, but that didn't make it to screen.
Well,
No, it certainly didn't.
it's been an amazing journey.
This has been epic.
An epic quest. I'm so glad that we had Kyle along with us for the ride.
Thank you so much. We can't wait to have you back.
Yeah, guys,
dude.
anytime.
Anytime. We love it. So check out the website, screenrex.com. Check out whatever we have coming next. We'll have to figure out what that's going to be. Check out the other stuff that's on that Last of the Action Heroes podcast network. Lots of awesome content there. We'll be back, and good journey.
Good journey.